Just a fair warning, guys, some minor spoilers for Sonic Mania's plotline follow. However, these Mania references are necessary to properly convey the corroborating information for this theory. If you don't want to be made aware of Sonic Mania story details, this video may not be for you. Viewer discretion is advised. Infinite, the bizarre, enigmatic figure that stands at the core of the upcoming Sonic forces. Shrouded in mystery, this mysterious supervillain has been the hot topic of the Sonic community for quite some time now. Who is he? How is he so seemingly powerful? Well, recent information revealed in the newly released Sonic Mania may lead to the answers we so desperately need, and the truth may surprise you. And that truth is, you ask? I am the Sega Scourge, the Sonic Theorist, tackling 26 years of classic and modern Sonic alike. Let's find out.
Sonic Theorist.
Okay, Little Theorist, let's do this.
Little Theorist program online.
Since the time of his first exhibition, the character Infinite has been the topic of rigorous debate and speculation online, with much of the Sonic community discussing upon his identity, his backstory, and predominantly, his powers. Suggested theories range from time manipulation to mind control, though I think a lot of people tend to overlook the fact that he's faster than Sonic. Not as fast, not close to, faster than the fastest thing alive, and Tails, even with all his intellect, couldn't make sense of it. Now, before I go on, I'd just like to state that a while back I promised myself not to develop Sonic Forces theories, to not touch upon a game that's not even out yet, as anything I say at one given time could easily be proven as false the next moment. Plus, everyone seems content with theory videos connecting Mania to Forces. We get it, guys, Sonic Mania is a prequel to Sonic Forces. It's not a difficult conclusion to arrive at, it's kind of freaking obvious. But since things have changed.
Cross-referencing suggests there now exists more viable evidence to work with on that topic.
Indeed there is, something that may point us further in the right direction.
It was not my understanding that a specific orientation was necessary. Which of the 4 cardinal directions would be most appropriate for this theory?
You're gonna need a firmware update after this one, LT.
New information available. Sonic Mania has been released. Analysis is required.
That's right, Sonic Mania is here to help us, in more ways than one actually. Please observe Mania's in-game introduction. Aside from its clear homage to Sonic the Hedgehog 3, further examination highlights some interesting and noteworthy stuff. Let's run through it. Upon Sonic and Tails' arrival on the fallen Angel Island, a quintet of Egg Robos, a mass-produced Badnik model, encircle a section of the ground beneath them before a large pincer supported from above seizes a portion of rock from below screen view, hoisting it upwards, revealing an octagonal gem with a bright magenta coloration. The events following see the stone discharge a large band of energy that distorts its surroundings, transferring all nearby parties to South Island's Green Hill Zone, and leaving the Egg Robos in a modified, empowered state, known as hard-boiled heavies. This gemstone, as I'm certain many people have noted at this time, emits the exact same audio distortion heard accompanying Infinite in the Sonic Forces E3 Villains trailer. This very unique audio cue implies that this gem is in some way linked to Infinite, and thereby the plot of Sonic Forces. Despite what people seem to assume in many playthroughs of Mania so far, no, this gem is not a Chaos Emerald.
They're just pulling Chaos Emeralds out of the ground?
Oh, snap! Yo, he's taking the chaos! Wait! I think we're doing chaos control.
Nor is it a time stone. Game explained.
Winning shows a scene of both Sonic and the Time Stone being sucked into a portal.
No guys, Chaos Emeralds are a rounded diamond cut. Time Stones have a sort of Marquise cut, but with flat sides and sharper edges. And for one thing, don't reside buried on Angel Island. Nah, this is something entirely different. In actuality, the online manual for the game reveals it to be named the Phantom Ruby, a trinket new to the Sonic universe. Many people in the community also still maintain the notion that the Ruby possesses the power to control time. Now, I hate to be a bummer, guys, and I know a couple of intellectuals over on the Sonic Stadium now have also picked up on this too, but the Phantom Ruby does not influence the flow of time in any way, because the aforementioned manual states otherwise, instead unveiling that it triggers a dimensional breach in the atmosphere, describing the gem as a source of unspeakable power. Now, that may be very roundabout and vague, but I think it goes a little deeper than just that, based on what we see of this in the game.
Sega Scourge theorizes that this amethyst, this Phantom Ruby, appears to contain the power to bend and manipulate the fabric of reality.
Transforming standardized egg robos into super-powered hard-boiled heavies, altering the forces of gravity, shifting entire zones, warping the world on a massive scale. Literally anything could be possible. And it's highly probable that Infinite may indeed possess this same absolute force manipulation, known in fiction and science fiction by the name essokinesis, the power to bend and rework reality and all conceivable realities.
This reality manipulation includes the effects of adjustment, alteration, bending, control, distortion, and in some instances, overwriting.
This might serve as an explanation to the events taking place in Sonic Forces, including other acts of reality malformation, such as the dimensional manipulation that caused Sonic the Hedgehog's classic iteration to relocate to his modern self's world, the conversion of the copious reservoirs of Green Hill Zone to far-reaching sand dunes, the list goes on.
But note, in many written appearances, misuse of such a cosmic force can lead to various undesirable results. These include energy erasure, space depletion, time destruction, and a total event collapse. Infinite's very existence may be tantamount to the survival of Sonic's world.
And if I'm right about this, then that could put Infinite on a level even higher than Solaris, a being that I view as one of the most powerful entities in Sonic history, having previously done a video on him. Why this gemstone lied dormant under the surface of Angel Island remains a mystery, but the better question is, how does this ruby relate to the character Infinite? Well, that's what I'm here to find out, and find out I shall.
Spoiler material for Sonic Mania ending follows. Be advised.
During the finale of Sonic Mania, after gathering all 7 Chaos Emeralds and defeating the out-of-control Heavy King and the Egg Reverie, the Ruby of its own accord separates classic Sonic from the Chaos Emeralds, opens a portal, and flings him and itself into another dimension, leading into the events of Sonic Forces. Through Mania, we've assumed that the Ruby is merely an inanimate object containing great power, yet here it is, acting independently without a user. Almost as if it were a conscious, deliberate act.
Your tone and speech pattern suggests you think the Phantom Ruby is a sentient force.
You're right on my wavelength, LT, because that's exactly what I'm suggesting. But that's not where the theory ends, no. Let's move on to what we know about Sonic Forces. Forces shows us a world in which Dr. Eggman has won. Destruction blankets the world and villainy reigns supreme. In the midst of this, the resistance movement fights back, waging war against the Eggman Empire's hordes of mechanical troops and Death Egg robot sentinels, not to mention the new Team Dark, so to speak, comprised of Shadow the Hedgehog, Chaos Zero, Zavok, Metal Sonic, and the Dark Interloper, Infinite.
Note: our popular online theory suggests the villains' team's incentive to join Eggman's army is that they are under Infinite's mind control, and Infinite, of course, is working alongside the Doctor.
Yeah, about that. Now, I'll go on record immediately and say that I don't believe that this is the case. I never did. I believe that the team's reasons for uniting with the Doctor are entirely individual and to be explained in the game. They are not bewitched by Infinite, they simply have their own reasons. Not only that, but whether you choose to believe it or not, I know that there would be clear visual cues that would signify the presence of mind control, such as a change in eye color or a glowing aura. Yet there aren't any signs of this, apart from a few glitchy graphics that evidently showcase the current unfinished state of the game. And before you ask, yes, I have seen the images of Metal Sonic's boss fight that were recently revealed. However, before you comment, I'd like to read to you the Force's story summary from the magazine Famitsu. Quote, The reason why Eggman takes over so much of the world is because of a new power that he obtains, resulting in his army controlling that much of the world. Is it not possible that the villain team, including Metal, have simply been juiced up on Infinite's power, resulting in newfound strength and abilities? Being that Infinite's power is an energy source after all, just like the power of the Phantom Ruby, and we know classic Eggman tried to harness that for his army. I'm not saying that it's not possible that the team is mind-controlled, no. I'm just saying that it's odd that Metal has only just been emphasized with this glitchy effect present, while he's fighting and showcasing new moves that we've never seen him use before, yet it was nowhere to be seen when the group was gathered in previous footage, next to Infinite, I might add. And I know a lot of people are hopping aboard the mind control train, but am I the only one that thinks that'd be a really boring reason? It can't just be me, come on. Plus, if Infinite did hold mind control abilities, there would be no restrictions to his power. Why would it be limited to just them? Why not Dr. Eggman? Why not the two Sonics? Or your custom character? Or everyone?
This argument is illogical.
But the topic of brainwashing is still actually relevant to this theory. This also relates to what I mentioned earlier about the Phantom Ruby possibly being consciously aware. So, let's turn our thinking around. What if it's not the villainous team that are being manipulated? What if Infinite is the one that's under control? And I don't mean by Eggman. If you've paid close attention to the character's overall design, you might have noticed a small purple gemstone embedded in his chest. And after Mania, I think you might know what that is. If you're on the same page as me, then that's right, because I'm suggesting that the Phantom Ruby is possessing this body. I believe the Phantom Ruby itself is the entity Infinite, and the unwitting host is just the poor soul unlucky enough to discover it and fall under its spell, and being granted the Ruby's power, the power over reality. But what is reality? Not to Infinite or Sonic, but to you. What is reality? Reality is a relative term. It exists based on perspective, your perspective. But is reality even what you think it is? This delves more so into quantum theory, and the idea that life as we know it is all manufactured, that in fact, we are all what we consider organisms living inside a gigantic computer simulation. The idea that the universe and all reachable existence is a fractal program that continues generating life endlessly. Now, whether or not I believe that is not what we're here to discuss, but this ideology is even more viable when considering the world that Infinite inhabits. That world is, after all, quite literally a game, a computer program, lines of code controlling global variables, 2D or 3D image synthesis, and everything that makes up the virtual macrocosm that is Sonic the Hedgehog as we know it. Therefore, if the Phantom Ruby, if Infinite can manipulate Sonic's reality, he would be manipulating the game itself. If he could alter the source code of the program, how could he influence the events that are meant to unfold? Just take a look at this. New concept art for Sonic Forces that was recently dropped online. Notice this one panel? That's right. That's Infinite, floating amidst psychedelic walls of data, stretching out like a huge sprawling network, like cyberspace. Infinite, by definition, could quite literally be a glitch in the game, a virus, infecting and warping the boundaries of Sonic's reality, his reality. I mean, think back to what I mentioned before. What is Infinite's most commonly noted feature? Red glitches. I've seen another YouTuber make a similar observation, with him suggesting that Infinite is a being from our world, from our factual reality. And while I don't necessarily believe Infinite is from our world per se, I do believe that it's possible that he may have become cognizant, self-aware of his own fictitious reality. It's kind of like the Matrix. Once you know you're in the program, you can exploit it and do things that otherwise seemed impossible. But anyway, powers over reality aside, back to the previous topic. The topic of Infinite being a host for the Ruby itself.
Information available. Sonic Forces, OST, theme of Infinite.
I hadn't even thought to listen over Infinite's theme for potential clues.
Please concentrate your hearing on these particular segments of lyrics.
scars remain of who I was. So the song is openly referencing the fact that someone existed prior to Infinite's becoming. How have I not noticed this before? And notice how coldly this is commented on, almost as if Infinite views that someone as having never existed at all.
There is more information available.
This pain persists, I can't resist. Now, I might just be reading into this too much and, well, believe me, it wouldn't be for the first time, but aren't those lyrics rather telling? I can't resist? What an oddly specific choice of words.
And recall the earlier information regarding Sonic Mania. Throughout the game scenario, the Heavy King and the rest of the hard-boiled heavies were all operating under Eggman's jurisdiction. However, upon the game's true finale, the Heavy King turned Maverick, abandoning his allegiance to his creator and fighting against him.
Why? Because he fastened the Phantom Ruby to himself. After that point, he was no longer Eggman's flunky. The stone had achieved individuality. It gained a body, before Sonic then took that away from it. And recall the previous point I made regarding glowing eyes and auras being a good visual indicator for mind control. Well, what does Infinite have, guys?
But then who is Infinite's captor? Who is the host you're suggesting?
Who's underneath the mask? Oh, it's Mephiles, obviously. No, I'm kidding. That, my friends, I believe can be answered by taking another careful look at the Infinite trailer. Turn your attention to this brief shot, presumably a cutscene of your custom character allegedly reaching out to Infinite for a fist bump, with Infinite then shunning them, sweeping out his hand as if to threaten them or shoo them away. For the longest time now, I've wondered what significance the custom character will have to the plot of Sonic Forces. What is the basis for his or hers joining the Resistance besides simply helping Sonic and Company take back the world from Eggman? Well, I think your custom character's motivations in the game are now explainable. Infinite is a friend of your custom character. Either a close friend or sidekick like Tails, or a friendly rival like Knuckles that unintentionally unearthed the Phantom Ruby upon its arrival in the modern Sonic dimension. It merged with him, and he was granted otherworldly powers at the cost of his own free will, allying himself with Dr. Eggman for reasons still unknown and altering reality in the dictator's favor. Upon uncovering this, your OC sets out to find Infinite, eventually leading to his or hers recruitment to fight against the Eggman Empire, but ultimately to save their friend, who has simply lost their way.
This solidifies the custom character's relevance to the storyline, and places Infinite in more of a tragic villain archetype rather than a standardized antagonist.
Of course, bear in mind, this friend's actions when judging what he had to gain may not be completely innocent. In fact, his motivations might be downright selfish, maybe even a fit of egomania, feeling as though he's destined for greater, or even a sense of self-hatred, reflecting on his life as meaningless and looking for a way out. Or perhaps he was simply manipulated by the ruby itself, mentally conditioned into believing that he needed it. Either way, that kind of character just seems misunderstood, deviating from good even though deep down, he doesn't really want to. But how, you'll ask? How could your custom character even dream to stand a chance against a limitless foe such as Infinite? After all, if modern Sonic was effortlessly dispatched by him, what hope could they possibly have?
Well, it's feasible that due to the sentimental attachment they previously shared, Infinite may in fact be unable to bring himself to harm the OC.
Spot on, LT. Take one last look at the shot from Infinite's trailer. For whatever reason, he didn't immediately hurt the custom character, yet he was shown as ruthless against modern Sonic. The bond between the custom and Infinite's host may be the trump card the Resistance so desperately need in the fight against him. Friendship. The power over infinite power. And be honest, that sounds like the kind of cheesy story a modern Sonic game would do. You know, listening back to the game's main theme, Fist Bump, and carefully analyzing the lyrics, one part that really caught my attention was,
Before I say goodbye to you, one more last fist bump.
"Before I say goodbye to you, one more last fist bump." Maybe those lyrics allude to this point. Who can say for sure in this theory? But remember, That's all this is. A theory. A chain of supposition backed up by some evidence in an attempt to explain something. It's merely my interpretation of things. The game might release yet and it'll turn out that I was completely wrong. But you know what? That's okay. At the very least, hopefully the community can get talking about this new way of looking at things. Sonic Forces shows a great amount of potential for storytelling, and I'm really optimistic that it will deliver on that. And Sonic Mania has opened so many doors in terms of lore and continuity that I see good things on the horizon for Sonic's future tales. I just love to incite discussion and thought. That's what I fundamentally strive for as the Sonic Theorist. Infinite remains an unparalleled rarity, with such malevolence that the entirety of Sonic's world is feeling the brunt of his reality-shaking intensity. Coupled with the power of the Phantom Ruby, only time will tell what secrets are uncovered and how the heroes will cope with the gravity of their hopeless situation. This complex and perhaps misguided adversary, with a lasting pain and seething evil etched into his very soul, that begs the thought that there may hide more beneath that mask than we initially realized. But I suppose that's what it takes to be infinite.